Welcome back everyone. So today I'm going to talk about self-defense, how to prepare yourself at home and how to prepare yourself when you leave home. Now, this is not a video that I ever envisaged making. It's not a video that I want to make. It's probably a video that I shouldn't make because certain eyes will look at this video and think, what the hell does he think he's doing? But frankly, I think your safety and the safety of your family matters more, and it's a video that has to be done. Now, as many of you will know, I'm not new to having to defend my life. I've done it 3 times before, and I would do it again if I had to. It's not pleasant, it's quite traumatizing, and sometimes you have to do things that you never ever imagined that you'd have to do or want to do. But that is the position that sometimes as human beings, as decent human beings, we are put in by the bad guys. Now, I spent almost 4 decades in the luxury watch business, fighting off the bad guys every day of my life. Sometimes they were in front of me with knives, sometimes they were in front of me with axes, sometimes they were in front of me with machetes. And I had to learn how to deal with it. Now today, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you some hints and tips that I believe will help keep you safe and will make you feel safer. But a point of law before we go any further. In the crazy UK, it's actually illegal to prepare for an act of self-defense. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means this. If you leave a baseball bat by your front door in preparation for an act of self-defense, if you was to use that baseball bat and you admitted to the fact that that is why it was by your front door, well, that's an admission of preparing for an act of violence, even if it is in self-defense. So let me make it very clear to anyone and everyone right from the very get-go. Whatever you feel necessary to keep by your front door, by your bed, it's there by accident or for a good reason. Remember? If you leave a baseball bat by your front door, you were going to play baseball the following morning, right? If you get caught with a can of WD-40 in your handbag and they want to know what it's there for, don't you dare tell them it's there for self-defense. You tell them that you got a squeaky wheel on your bike and when you get home you're going to oil it, because they will not hesitate to nick you. Preparing for an act of self-defense in the UK can be and is illegal. Yes, I know, all our American viewers, stop laughing. That's how little our government trust us and how little they think of us. Well, we're now in a position where the police and the authorities can no longer take care of us, no longer guarantee our safety. So what I'm going to recommend is the following. First of all, there's a couple of points. I know Richard was talking about getting out there into the gym, get yourself fit. It's very good if you're a man in your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe even your 50s. But if you're a woman, if you're not particularly strong, if you're an older person, none of that's any good to you. Let's be honest. You need to avoid any physical contact whatsoever. So the suggestions that I'm going to make for you today work for anyone of any age, of any level of fitness. But the key is, you have to be quick. That's the key. You have to be quick because time is always of the essence. So let's start at home. What can you do to make yourself safe at home and, God forbid, avoid any attack at your house? And believe me, I am a bit of an expert at this, because if I told you about the setup and security systems that I've had at my houses in the past when I was dealing in luxury watches, you wouldn't believe it. You know, I spent £50,000 on security at my last house, or not my last house, the one before that, back in the UK, with laser alarms going around the house, etc. Panic alarms everywhere, smoke cloaks, smart water. You don't need any of that. What you do need at home, first of all, look, CCTV, ring doorbells, they're all useful, right? But they don't stop you from getting hurt. They might catch the incident on camera, but you're still hurt. What I want to try and do is give you some advice that will stop you from getting hurt or coming into contact with the bad guys in the first place. Rule number 1, always be wary of who you are answering the door to. I know that's pretty obvious, but if you are not sure, absolutely sure about who is at your front door, just don't answer it. You must have a security chain on your front door, and a good one at that, not one from the pound shop. Get your son, your son-in-law, your brother, your uncle, one of your friends, your neighbours to fit you a good security lock where you can open the door a little bit and speak to people without actually opening the door. That's the first thing. That's a very, very basic thing. Most intruders get into people's houses by forcing entry, and that's often through the front door. Now, you could spend thousands of pounds making your house secure, but it's actually a whole lot easier than that for any individual, whether you're alone or whether you've got a family, and I'll talk to you about both. If you're on your own, the rules are generally the same, but there's a code for when you've got a family, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. What you need is a safe room. You pick one room in the house that is easy to access and that only has one entrance to it. Could be a bedroom, usually is a bedroom, but any room will do where there is only one door. And what you need to do, that door needs to be strong, obviously. Most doors are fairly strong. Remember, these people are not going to spend 15, 20 minutes trying to break down a door. If they can't get to you quickly, they'll move on. So the idea is to give you time and space, time and avoidance of contact. Pick a bedroom, pick a room, and make that your safe room. So on the back of that door, you put 2 or 3 bolts, maybe a deadlock. You make sure that door is virtually impregnable unless someone spends a hell of a lot of time trying to break in. And you can do that for less than 20 quid. You can go to any DIY store and buy some deadbolts. They can be fitted fairly easily. And when you're in that room, you are pretty safe and secure. And it's always good to maybe leave a mobile phone in there as well, so that you've got contact with the outside world. Have a safe room. I always used to have a safe room at all of my houses. And my wife, my kids knew that if we come under attack, that was the room that they all went to immediately, without any thoughts, without any questions. You get to the safe room, you get inside the safe room and lock yourself in. Now, I don't know about you, but I have 2 girls. They were teenagers, younger at the time, obviously, and a wife. Now, imagine, remember, bear in mind what I said, time is always of the essence. Imagine you catch a couple of guys trying to come through your front door. What are you going to shout? One of your teenagers is upstairs watching TV. The other teenager's downstairs on the phone to one of her friends, and your wife's in the kitchen cooking dinner. What do you shout to get their attention so that they instantly know to drop everything? And I mean drop everything and get to that safe room in a split second. What could you say? Girls, come on, I need you. You need to move. We're under attack, blah, blah, blah. You know what they're like? They'd be shouting, what, Dad? What do you mean? I'm on the phone, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work, right? One word, fire. I taught my kids and my wife, and they knew, under no uncertain terms, under no circumstances, if they ever heard me shout the word fire, that was the code word to get to that safe room. Thank God we never had to use that word, but they all knew that if anyone in the house ever shouted fire, it was straight to the safe room and lock ourselves in. And that can be done very, very cheaply. And believe me, it works. If you want to go that extra stage further, you might just want to have something that you can push up against the door from behind as well. Remember that forcing a locked door open is very difficult. So that's how you can be very easily safe indoors. And the other little tip that I would give you especially at night when people are often even more afraid. Just put a lock inside your bedroom door. The amount of people that I know that go to bed and leave their door open all night. Well, if an intruder gets in, they could be standing over you before you even know it. So when you go to bed, lock your door. No one's going to get in without making a hell of a lot of noise. And if you've got a phone by your bed, you can get someone there before that person can get to you. I'm not trying to frighten anyone now. I'm actually trying to make you feel safer. If you take this advice, none of it's going to cost you a lot of money. And trust me, you will feel a lot safer. Another little tip is obviously be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of who's around and who's looking at you, etc., etc. But let's now move to what you can do to potentially protect yourself when you're out and about. That's a lot harder. Now, as we all know, you can't carry weapons in the UK. Only the bad guys carry weapons because they don't give a shit about the law, right? It doesn't matter how young, old, fit or unfit you are. If someone comes at you with a weapon, a knife, you're in big trouble. What you need to do is you need to be able to give yourself space, and you want to avoid personal one-to-one contact with that individual. Learning a few karate kicks and out of block punches and all that sounds great, but trust me, in the heat of the moment, unless you're young and fit and good at what you do, it is not going to work. So my advice to you guys is to carry a small can of WD-40. I'm told that deep heat works just as well, although I've never really used deep heat on myself. I know it smells really strong, etc., but I believe that it takes a lot longer to work. I think WD-40 for me would be my favourite. It's a spray. It's not illegal. It disperses water. What is in your eyes? Water. If you get WD-40 in your eyes, you ain't seeing very well for a fairly long time. It's not going to cause anyone any irreparable damage, and it's the best self-defense spray that I can think of that you can carry around legally, as long as you don't admit to carrying it around for self-defense purposes. Remember, God forbid if you're caught or if you ever have to use it, and I'll come on to using it in just a moment, never admit that you were carrying it for self-defense. Now, most people will know what WD-40 is, and it might not necessarily frighten them. By the way, WD-40 also stinks to high heaven. It's hard to get off, and it smells. So if you spray someone with that, they're going to be easily identified as well. Now, I would personally wrap that WD-40, that can, I would wrap it in red tape. Go and get some red insulating tape, electrical tape. Wrap it around the can so that it's red, so that it looks a little bit more intimidating than it actually is. And if anyone comes at you with a knife, you need to be able to get to that spray with, putting as much distance in between yourself as you possibly can and the person that's trying to attack you. Now, with any luck, the sight of someone holding up an unknown spray with a red canister may just turn their attention to someone else who's going to be a slightly easier victim. You can't guarantee it, right? But if they do get to within striking distance of you, at least you have something to defend yourself with that doesn't come under the Firearms Act, for example. Illegal pepper spray comes under a firearms law. If you get caught with that, it's 5 years inside. This is how crazy our laws are. The police can't protect you, and we're not allowed to protect ourselves. So what do? Here in Spain, I believe it's legal to carry pepper spray, but I don't feel the need. It's safe here. I don't need to think about having to have weapons at home or carrying something around me to defend myself with, because I feel safe. Back in the UK, well, we all know you're not safe. As far as using it is concerned, only ever use this as a last-ditch attempt to stop someone from attacking you. This is not something that you should do just in case, or just to frighten someone off. You don't use anything in a manner that could be described as being offensive unless you are in danger, unless you are being attacked. You can give your kids all the alarms that you like. They won't use them. You know what teenagers are like. I used to give them to my girls and I'd find them up in the bedroom. They never took them out, ever. Bloody nightmare. But what you have got to do is, if you decide that you're gonna take out your chain lubricant with you because your bike chain needs lubricating back at home, when you take it out with you, you've got to make sure that it's to hand. And when I say to hand, I mean to hand. I don't mean in the bottom of your bloody handbag where it's going to take you 5 minutes to find it. This is not the queue at the supermarket where the cashier is going to wait politely while you find your purse. You need to have it in a pocket with your hand on it at all times. When you're walking the dog, when you're on a train, when you're out in public, anywhere where you could be at threat. Boy, oh boy, I hate making videos like this. But if it saves just one person, then it's all worthwhile. And I'm not suggesting that you hurt anyone or try and hurt anyone. Of course I'm not. We are talking about a crisis, an emergency, a last-ditch attempt to save your life from a knife-wielding maniac. It should be the most basic of all human rights that you're allowed to defend your life and the life of your children. Remember, I spent 6 months on bail for defending my life and the life of one of my children against 4 masked armed men. It's not much fun, I can tell you. So it is strictly a last resort scenario. But at home, you can make yourself feel a lot safer, and you can make yourself very safe by simply implementing 1 or 2 very cheap, very simple, very easy things. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough the need for a safe room where you can lock yourself in. And I don't mean with a flimsy bolt. I mean a deadlock and a couple of other locks on the door to make it almost impossible, even for the heaviest of men, to push their way through. That could save your life. The chain on the door could save your life. All simple. And the WD-40, because you need to oil your chain on your bike tomorrow morning, could save your life. You can also leave a can in your car as well, can't you? For when you're driving. What a mess, eh? Having to make videos like this. Unbelievable. Right, guys, look, listen, if you've got anything to add to what I've told you there, let me know in the comment section below. And I know that there's going to be plenty of self-defense experts out there saying, oh, this, that, the other, this don't work, this would be better, etc. Well, look, let me tell you, I've done 40 years of this nonsense and it kept me safe. A safe room, a safe place, a safe word, a code word if you've got family, and make sure that you have the ability to defend yourself when you're out on the street. Unlikely that you're ever going to need any of this. I don't want you to go to bed tonight worrying yourself sick. But if you do go to bed worried and you're watching this video in the first place, then if you follow my advice, you'll sleep a bit easier. Stay safe, everyone. God bless you all, and all being well, I'll speak to you again soon.